It is day 4 of my 30-day decluttering challenge in January, and today I am tackling cleaning products. It's actually quite late when I started this declutter. We had a really busy day, went to the seaside with friends of ours and had a lovely day. Weather was a bit rubbish, but we went to a sea life centre. Kids had a wonderful time and they played so nicely together. We also went to this fish and chip shop that has a soft play at the back. So again, the kids were busy playing, meant that the grown-ups could have a chat, catch up a bit, and it just felt really refreshing. I felt like everyone enjoyed themselves. Everyone got to have a good catch up with their mates, whether they were little mates or big mates. And yeah, but it was a busy day. So we did do a few bits around the house earlier in the day. I'm trying to get some more organization stuff sorted. And I think just the fact that I've started decluttering, started it in December, and it's really given us that kick to get some projects sorted in the house. So we had been doing a few projects in the house, and then it was quite late basically. By the time we got the kids in bed and my 2-year-old refused to go to sleep, I gave up at about 9:30, tagged my husband in. He was successful in getting her to sleep at 10 o'clock at night. So she's going to be really tired the next day. But there we are. I set the timer for 15 minutes because part of me did not want to do this because I was very tired. I just wanted to get to bed. And I find that setting a timer for a short period of time just gives me that push to get started. And then 9 times out of 10, once I am started, if it's going to take me another 5-10 minutes to finish a project, I will continue and do that. That is exactly what happened with this declutter. Set the timer for 15 minutes, but I actually had a few minutes left over after I finished this particular cupboard, and I decided to go ahead and clear some other cleaning products we have in our utility room. So I'm in the kitchen for this particular section of the declutter. That's where I have, I would say, the bulk of the cleaning products. We also then have some cleaning products in the utility room, and then just a few cleaning products in each bathroom. But I've been through the bathroom cleaning products when I was doing a bathroom declutter in December, so I'm not going to return to those just yet. Concentrating on this cupboard under the sink in the kitchen because I have not touched this for some time. I knew I had an awful lot of cloths and dusters, that sort of thing that I am not using. But it's also really useful to get everything out and actually remind myself what I had, because I'd gone out recently and bought those, those magic sponges that get marks off the walls. I think they're really good. And I've got some from Poundland. But then I realised I had a massive bag of them in this cupboard, but they were a bit out of sight and I clearly had forgotten I had them. So I 100% do not need to buy any more magic sponges anytime soon. And it was a good reminder that I had those. I also had some bicarbonate of soda in there that I had totally forgotten about, and I thought I needed to buy more. I used bicarb of soda and distilled vinegar to clean out our sinks, drains, and I need to do that soon. So that's great. I've got everything I need for it and I don't need to buy anything else. So here is a case of reorganizing a few things, and I think we've got a fairly good system. I generally know roughly where things are that I need. My husband knows if he wants shoe polish, it's at the bottom. And I put the magic sponges here back on their own shelf. So we have magic sponge shelf. And if I want some, I have a bit of skincare actually in this cupboard, because I usually take my makeup off downstairs in the kitchen at the end of the day, because our ensuite backs onto our 2-year-old's room, and where her cot is basically up against the wall of where our ensuite is. She's a pretty light sleeper. So I generally don't like to wash my face in the evening in the ensuite. I'm sure when she's a little bit older, we'll get to the point where we can use the ensuite in the evening a bit more and she won't wake up and scream for us. But at the moment, she's a little bit sensitive. I have friends though who have basically trained their toddlers to get used to the noise. And I feel like that we almost need to get through that tricky time of getting her used to regular noises that happen at regular times in the evening, so that we can just live our lives the way we would otherwise. But yes, we're not quite ready to do that. We're not quite ready to go through the pain to get to the better situation, if you like. So I'm just putting things back in now. Managed to clear a pretty good selection of things, which I will show you at the end of this video. Our kitchen is, I would say, a decent size, because this is all part of an extension that we had 4 years ago. And actually where I am now in the utility was where our kitchen used to be. So our kitchen was our small utility space plus our downstairs loo. That was all one kitchen. It was very tiny, really hard to do like any kind of cooking in there if there's more than one person. To be honest, if there's one person in there, there wasn't a lot of space. We didn't have room for things like a dishwasher, which we do now, which is really, really awesome. I love that we have the utility, and we have our washer and dryer stacked on top of each other in there. But because it still is a small space, and we use it for our we have a fridge freezer in there, we have cleaning products, we have our washer dryer, and we have an area sits in there with clothes drying most of the time. Which means, again, it's not the biggest space. And this is one room that I really need to do an overhaul on. But for now, I'm going to be tackling a few separate spaces in there. And then I think I just need to get everything out and go through it all. So what happened here, I had a few minutes left on the timer, and I thought I'll go through these cleaning products. But in this cupboard, we have cleaning products, but also craft supplies for our kids. And once I started to tackle the cupboard, I looked at the craft supplies and I thought, I just can't leave it. I cannot do like half of this cupboard. I have to do the whole thing. But that worked out really well because, if I had thought to myself at the beginning of this project, right, we're going to tackle both these cupboards, everything in them, I just wouldn't have wanted to do it at all. There wouldn't have been any part of me that would have wanted to do that. But once I got stuck into it, I really wanted to finish the project, and it wasn't such a hardship. So just setting that timer for 15 minutes and saying, I will do just 15 minutes often leads to me doing more. And sometimes I get to the end of the 15 minutes and I think that's it, I'm done, like put it back in. That's all I wanted to spend. So it's like giving yourself that grace. Like if all the energy you have is for 15 minutes, just do 15 minutes. And then if you have a bit more energy and a bit more time, do a bit more. And sometimes I genuinely just don't have more time. This was a weekend, but often I'm doing these declutters while I am working from home. So I have a short space of time because, if I'm going to take a lunch break, which I can't always, then, I'm going to spend a bit of that time decluttering. But also after the declutters, I have to, put everything in the bin and the recycling or in bags of charity shop. I need to sort them out. And also I need to eat food. So I can't spend a whole hour decluttering on my work from home days. As well as having craft supplies in this particular cupboard, we also have other craft supplies above the fridge freezer. We have like paint stuff in there, paint pens and some of the crayons and scissors and that sort of thing, which I need to go through. And also then we have boxes of like craft gifts and some things that we got for Christmas. So I say we, my kids. So they have a few kits of various things. And I think really for me now it's a bit of a push to actually do those, like get them working through those projects, using those gifts up so that we can move them out of the house, because some of them have built up over time. We've had, birthday presents of crafting stuff, and they've been put into the utility room to use at a later date. But I've never got around to actually like getting the kits out, whether that's a painting thing or they've got a pom-pom kit, they've got some clay modeling stuff. So I need to just get them out, get them working on those projects, because I do find generally that the craft stuff, like my boys in particular, my boys are 6 and 4 and my daughter is 2, but even she likes a craft project. So if I get out, like if they're going a bit stir crazy at home, like the weather's turned quite nasty at the moment, very wet, miserable, and whilst we have all the waterproof stuff, sometimes we just don't have the ability to get them out of the house, and we need to spend a bit of time in the house, but they're going a bit stir crazy, then getting the craft stuff out is always a winner. They can concentrate for a much longer period of time now on a craft thing, whether that is just doing some drawing or whether it's painting. I mean, I say painting requires a bit more supervision on my part because, they still have that lack of impulse control, can't help but paint their own faces, hands, etc., walls. But things like Play-Doh and kinetic sand, they're two of my favourite things where I can be like, I'm obviously always with them, but not necessarily having to sit with them for those activities. But they will sit for well over an hour with Play-Doh or kinetic sand. I think there's something about it. It's quite therapeutic. Like as an adult, if you sit down and actually play with Play-Doh or kinetic sand, it is really therapeutic. So I like to have these things in the house, but I need to find a better way of storing them. I had a tub that I had cleared out from our linen closet, and I thought, maybe I could stick the Play-Doh in there, because at the moment, the Play-Doh is, part of the Play-Doh is in this craft cupboard, and part of it was on a shelf above. And I wanted to get all of it together and all of it in the cupboard. The kinetic sand was out. You can actually see that in that purple box, which is on the work surface above my head. And that's because we had played with it that weekend. So again, that lives in the cupboard. I wanted to get everything packed away in its space. We also had like colouring paper and things that we wouldn't have looked for in that cupboard. We have a couple of drawers with paper and pens in our living room so that we can grab those quickly if they want to do drawing. So I moved things to where we would look for. Like if we wanted paper, where would we look for it? We'd look for it in the living room. So I made sure that things were where you would expect them to be and had a little bit of a rejig in there. See, I'm also moving things from another cupboard, and this is our like bubble guns. So we have some really big containers of like, we call it bubble juice. I don't know what you call it for using with bubble ones, etc. And they have some bubble guns that the boys were bought for their birthdays last year. And those were in two separate cupboards, and that does not make sense. They should all be together. So I've moved those together. And here is that basket that I was talking about. I'm just measuring up to see, like, will this fit in this cupboard? So I had a little bit of a rejig, moved some of the things that were in the back of the cupboard, just sort of better stacked them really to better utilise that space. And then moved some of the cleaning supplies as well, where we have at the moment a larger container of some of our cleaning products. These are for clothes cleaning stuff mostly, because that is next to the washing machine where we'd look for it. And then I could fit that container in there. So I started to move all of the Play-Doh stuff into that one container. This is also going to be really useful for me going forward, so I won't be having to look for a box that has one lot of Play-Doh and then the separate little pizza tower for the Play-Doh kits, and then another box that has other Play-Doh stuff in. I can just grab that whole container out when they want to play with Play-Doh and put it on the table, and we are done. So it's making things easier for me in the house and just showing you, look, this is the mess. It's a really small room, but that's what we're dealing with. So now this is the afters of the cupboard under the sink. That is looking much tidier. And then this is the cupboard in the utility. Again, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. We've got the Play-Doh all together, loads of craft stuff at the bottom. We've got the washing stuff in there. Everything is where it needs to be. And also, I didn't show you the work surface before, but this was completely covered. So now I have a bit of space on that work surface. We have some other boxes across to work through. And this is everything that we got rid of. So that is a lot of stuff, a lot of cloths I'm just not using because I have my favourite microfiber cloths. That's all I use. These are like pads for a mop that I got rid of ages ago. We have some brand new things I can gift on to other people or put in my charity shop pile. The crayons went to nursery, and everything else was fit for the bin and the recycling. Bye.